Here we go. Welcome back to episode 37 of UnHammered with your host, Brantt Myhres. I hope all you beautiful people have had an awesome week. I've had a great week and more importantly, a really good morning this morning. I woke up extra early and I was just feeling it. I was feeling it this morning. I'm pretty, I don't know what the word is, grateful. And we're going to get into that. Why I'm grateful this morning. And, but anyways, hey, everybody, let's cheers to the miracle. Let's cheers to the miracle. If you've been able to make it one day, 1 week, 1 month, one year, or even multiple years, which we're going to chat about. Cheers to you guys, man. Hats off to you for the fucking grind and staying with the grind. Running, skipping, jumping, hiking. Writing in your journal, trying to be a better person. How about that? Just be a better person on a daily basis. Cheers to you guys. Bang. Woo. All right. Hey, before we get into what I want to get into today, why don't we read what the daily meditations suggest. Oh, by the way, hey, this is a sobriety podcast, right? Recovery, sobriety from overeating, from depression, from drugs, from whatever it may be that's killing your soul inside. But we can start out with a serenity prayer. You guys ready? Okay, here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. All right. Let's do a thought for the day today, everybody. Okay, here we go. This says, a nightclub crowded with men and women all dressed up in evening clothes looks like a very festive place. But you should see the rest of the rooms that night of the club the next morning. What a mess! ! People have been sick all over the place, and does it smell? The glamour of the night before is all gone, and only the stink of the morning is left. In AA and NA, we learned to take a long view of drinking and drugging instead of a short view. We learned to think less about the pleasure of the moment and more about the consequences. Has the night before become less important to me? And the morning after, more important. Didn't I just tell you about my morning, that I woke up happy? Fuck, this stuff makes sense. All right, meditation. Here we go. Only a few more steps, and then God's power shall be seen and known in my life, whatever your God is. I am now walking in darkness, surrounded by the limitations of space and time. But even in this darkness, I can have faith and can be a light to guide my feet that are afraid. I believe that God's power will break through the darkness of my prayers, and my prayers will pierce even to the ears of God himself. But only a cry from the heart, a trusting cry, ever pierces that darkness and reaches the divine ear of God. All right, what do you guys think about that? I don't know. I love it. Hey, everybody, we're going to chat about, when you decide to better your life like we chatted about. And then there's things that happen in your life when you decide to do the next right thing. And those are called results. And what I mean by results is sometimes people, when you put time together and you achieve something in sobriety or recovery, that's called a birthday. And today, everybody, I'd love to announce that I took a three-year cake this morning at 5 a.m. with myself. I lit some candles and I listened to some music, and I wrote in my journal, and I reflected on my journey, the first 14 years of sobriety. And then when I had a relapse there, and I took a little step back, and now I blew out 3 candles. And we'll talk about me in a bit, but we'll talk about that situation about Milestones. But there's another man that I'd like to mention, and his name is Dan Cronin. And Dan Cronin was, how can I put it? I guess he was just like a godsend. He was like a godsend to me when I was younger. And I met Dan in 1998 when I went to Philadelphia. And I got released from the Flyers, and I needed help. And they said, there'll be a guy there the next day to pack up your apartment. Get ready. You're going to L.A. So this guy shows up. He's like, hi, I'm Dan. I said, yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Brantt. Where are we going? He goes, we're going to L.A. You can stay on my couch tonight. All right. So that was the first beginning of meeting Dan Cronin. And he worked for the National Hockey League. And Dan had an interesting story. He, well, how about this? He's been sober 35 years. And guys, guess when his birthday is? Guess when his sobriety birthday is? It was last night. It was last night, and mine's today. Isn't that wild? So anyways, Dan was with me through basically fucking hell and back. And all the lies that I told Dan throughout the years. And some of them weren't lies, Dan. Some of them weren't lies, Actually, I was telling the truth. I think at least 10% of the time. But the other 90, I was a fucking liar. And all I was doing was hurting myself, and I was hurting Dan, and I was hurting people that love me. And Dan got to see me get back on my feet, and then really get back on my feet for those 14 years. And he was a pillar for me in recovery. And I got to tell you what, when I decided to crack that beer on, I guess it was, it was 3 years ago today. The first guy that came into my mind, who do you think that was? Yeah, it was Danny. It was Danny. And what am I going to tell Dan? I just made it 14 years, and here I am fucking down on a beer. Not good. And it took me a while to tell Dan I was never going to lie about it. Even when I was boozing for that just brief period, I still wasn't going to lie about nothing. I was just a fucking hermit. Couldn't find me. I'm like, oh, if they can't find me and they can't ask me questions, nobody knows anything. But when they do, I'm going to get honest. And I did. And he asked me on, because my other sobriety birthday was February the 18th of 2008. And he texted me on February the 7th February the 17th. Said, hey, it's your birthday tomorrow. That was a tough one. And obviously it wasn't. And I had to just get honest with him. And then anyways, so Dan texted me last night. Is it your birthday today? I said, no, it's tomorrow, buddy. So anyways, shout out to you, Dan Cronin, for, first off, 35 years of sobriety. Secondly, knowing you for, I guess it would be, so that'd be 25, 27 years now, buddy. And without you, I wouldn't be on this podcast. You never gave up on me ever. And I love you, man. And I owe my life to you. And keep being a pillar of strength for everybody else. But anyways, so, everybody, when people ask you about, the journey and stuff, and I've got some questions here that people have written in. I guess we'll go through a couple of them, right? Why not? If you could go back and talk to yourself on day one of sobriety, what would you say? I used to give all the credit to God. God kept me sober. And I never really gave any credit to Brantt. And I'll tell you what, everybody, this thing's a partnership. This thing's a partnership with me and my God. And we're 50-50 partners in this thing. Bottom line. I put the fucking work boots on every day. And I grinded when I needed to grind. And then God was there when I'd reach out for strength. But this is a two-way street, man. And we got a partnership, and it's 50-50 straight across the board. So If I could go back and talk to myself, what would I say? It's going to be way harder this time. It's going to be way harder, Brantt. You know, the first time you were surrounded by 50, 60 people every morning in a beautiful rehab. And, you know, you had your counselors and people woke you up and fucking fed you. And it was great. Don't get me wrong. I think rehab's amazing. When I went to Astoria Point, but this time was different. Phone ain't ringing, and I'm by myself. And, yeah, it's starting to get cold. Out. And my daughter's not there. And it's just me. And there's nobody around to tell me what to do or where to go. So if I was going to talk to myself, what would I say? Brantt, you thought the first time was hard. Fucking buckle up. Buckle up, buddy. Because it's fucking coming. And even though the desire to drink and do drugs was lifted on February 7th of 3 years ago, I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with anxiety. I was dealing with all these feelings. Oops. That's my sister. Jesus, I usually turn this off, don't I, you guys? Share. I'll call you later. Sorry about that. Anyways, I was dealing with all these feelings, and I wasn't gonna grab the bottle or anything like that. I stayed away from drugs. Obviously, I've been 18 years clean from any drugs. So there you go. But it was a lot harder, man. It was a lot harder, and I was in you know, Cold Lake, and I don't know. I really felt alone, and I really had to dig in with God. And go, you know, I'm pretty ashamed about what I've done here. And, you know, I've got my book that, you know, came out probably, I think it was about 7 months before it came out. And then 7 months later, I relapsed. And man, I had to put that thing, you know, I had to hide it. Even though every page was true and the way everything went down in my life, it was hard for me 7 months later to go, Jesus Christ, this fucking disease, man. So anyways, that question, yeah, it was like round 2 is going to be different, Brantt. And we'll see if you can get through this one. And you know what? I got 3 years, man. So I'm happy with that. And I have to remind myself about stuff, and maybe you guys need to remind yourself once in a while too of why you're listening. If it's a loved one you care about, or if it's you that you care about. Why don't we read how it works? Because they tell you in this thing, right? You guys remember this blue book, don't you? I do. And I love reading this because they read this at every meeting, in AA and NA. At the start of it. And you wonder why, because it's so powerful and it just sort of tells you how it works. So why don't we start? And here's what they start out with. Rarely. You ready? Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Again, 3 times I've mentioned this word, honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now, as I've just explained a little bit. If you have decided that you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us had tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go. Absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol and drugs. I always say this too at the meeting. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. Yep. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. Man, without help, it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol and drugs or food, anything you want, and our lives became unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact natures of our wrongs. 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Now we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take a personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. I try to do that every night. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And what's the last one? 12. Having had a spiritual awakening. As a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and drug addicts and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Many of us exclaim, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along a spiritual line. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic and the drug addict to the chapter Agnostics and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and drug addicts and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could relieve our alcoholism or drug addiction. And C, this is the good one, that God could and would if he were sought. Bang. Man, I love that. Yeah, they read it every time at the meetings. I wonder why. I don't know. Probably because they tell you how it works. Oh my God. I'm going to be 51 years old next month in March. And man, oh man, I'm trying. I'm getting older, and I've been through so many fucking obstacles in my life. And I'm still breathing, and I'm still talking, and I'm sober today. So grateful for that. What other questions do we got here, folks? How has your relationship changed with yourself since getting sober? Well, I guess if we go back 3 years ago, how has it changed? Again, I think I didn't realize how strong I was. I didn't realize the strength that I had inside. Because again, this time was a different beast, man. This time around was different. It just was. And I think that the relationship I had is that also I know that no matter what happens in life, right? So maybe during those 14 years, maybe I left a little bit of the window cracked, if, and then what do you know? Fucking COVID comes. If. and it messes me up, man. And I'm fucking not doing well. And, so anyways, my point is that, the relationship with myself was that this time around, that no matter what, you don't drink or use, Brantt, right? It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Who cares about whatever's going on outside the world of politics and that kind of, don't get me wrong. I shouldn't say who cares about COVID, because that was crazy. Fuck. I imagine there was quite a few people that weren't doing well, that were in recovery. A lot, millions, fuck. No, not just a couple. But anyways, I realized that I'm not going to drink or do drugs no matter what. How about that? That's what I've learned. And come hell or high water. So yeah, if I could go back and talk to myself, I would tell myself about the strength that I actually really did have this time around. And what's one thing, Brantt, that you did in the last year that made you really proud of your sobriety? Starting this. When I said I was going to do something, I did it. Exactly a year ago, probably. I'm like, oh God, how do I do this? How do I set up a podcast? What if nobody watches? No, it's okay, Brantt, as long as one person does. As long as one person does, who gives a fuck? So this is the last year, from building this little studio and all the research of, I don't know how many hours, man, I researched this. And had to find editors and hire film crews to film. Anyways, my point is that we're on episode 37. So in the last year, I would say that this has been the most proud with my sobriety. The second thing is today, I not only did I blow out the 3 candles, but my little boy did too. And it's not just about us. It's not just about us. And the look that he had, blowing out the candles, he didn't know. He didn't know what the birthday was for, but I did. And it's for him too. It's for Peanut. It's for him. It's for people that, I don't know, that love you. And you want to make sure that that they're always taken care of. That your self needs are put aside for children that depend on you. They depend on you. So when he blew out the candles, it shook me up a little bit. You guys know I'm an emotional bear. Fuck. I get emotional, man. And this morning, it's one thing for me to blow them out. It's another thing to see Kaner blow them out. And by God, he's going to blow out 4 of them next year. Blow out 4 of them. Okay. What else do we got here? What else are they saying? So if someone out there is struggling to get sober, Brantt, what would you want them to hear today? I don't know. Probably that, again, it's cliche, and I don't know if I use it very much, because they say don't give up before the miracle happens. But what do we toast to? What do we toast to, guys? We toast to the miracle. Is it right? The miracle. That's what we do in the show. So yeah, don't quit before the miracle happens. You guys, some of you guys think that it's a fucking revolving door like I did, but for the grace of God, from all the overdoses and everything that I went through, I didn't die. And sometimes, somebody's ready to take your chair. They just are. They're fucking, they want it more than you do. So how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? So who's ever struggling out there, give this thing a chance and don't quit before the miracle happens in your life. And it might not show up as a shiny fucking toy. Believe me. And if you're in it for that, you're in it for the wrong reasons. You're going to get fucking loaded. So if you're struggling, hang in there, man. Stay in your chair. Stay in your chair. How about that? Don't fucking leave. Give it a shot. Right? Okay. Let's see here. What else do we got? You know, I also like a chapter out of this thing called Acceptance. And because I'm sort of going through it, as I mentioned last pod, right? I feel better today. I had a great morning, man. Like I said, I woke up and did my prayers and lit some candles, man. It was a really great morning. Fuck. But here we go. And acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, or thing or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism and drug addiction, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. Man, I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world, but what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. Right on. I love that too. Okay, here we go. What else? So, as I was sort of reflecting on my birthday, I'm like, you know, through the years, or back when I was going hard and drinking and going through all that stuff, you know, rehabs and making lots of money and that kind of stuff in the NHL. I wanted to reflect on, you know, how much money have I how much money have I saved staying sober? When you actually put together everything on a nightly basis, you know, sort of looks I don't know, not realistic, I guess. But anyways, my point is that I wanted to sort of look at, since I've been sober the last 3 years, what if I didn't stop drinking and doing drugs? You know, what was a typical night out for Brantt? How much money did I spend? Well, let's check it out. All right, booze tab, $800. Okay. First 8-ball of Coke, $300. All right. Well, and then you're getting a second 8-ball at 4 a.m. That's another $300. All right. A nice lady at the strip club to sit on my lap all night, $1,000. Total for one night, $2,400. All right. Well, let's average that out to 2 times a week. And for 3 years, that equals $748,400. Wow. Man, that sure adds up, eh? No wonder my car got repoed. Wow. Anyways, Jesus, that's a lot. That's a lot of money, man. My God. It's almost $1 million. Wow. So I've saved quite a bit of money in the last 3 years if I, didn't take my foot off the gas. But that's what a night for me. And that was actually sometimes a cheap night. If I was on the road, I'd have to get a hotel. A nice hotel. What is that? $600-700? So, anyways, yeah, that was a normal night out, and that was about 2 times a week. So, anyways, I got more money in the bank. Nice. I got my car back. Oh boy. Anyways, all right, everybody. Hey, listen. I hope you guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in to UnHammered. I hope, there's been people that have just been with me on this journey and been with everybody for 37 weeks, and they've been UnHammered for 37 weeks. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And happy birthday to Dan Cronin for 35 years of continued sobriety. I love you, brother. And I'm going to enjoy my birthday today, and I'm going to stay in gratitude. I'm going to be really grateful today. So anyways, you beautiful humans, have an awesome 7 days. Help each other. Stay unhammered for another week. And love you guys. And we'll chat soon. Thanks.